That should be working.
All of this modeling, if you look at the stuff that we do back in the day, and then what it's put. It proves one out. In late season flows to the river. So it's like, we're actually only using 30% of what we're saying is our tank for ag.
You know, maybe we can get that on the agenda at the Colorado Water Conference. That'd be a good
It's a big
presentation.
chunk, when they're putting it on with a sprinkler or whatever, that water doesn't return as well. But flood irrigation, the water they're pulling out of the river, 70% of it's making its way back in.
Not only do you get food production, but you get all this wildlife habitat, especially for migratory
You
birds.
get improved riparian, you get wildlife
Late season
habitat,
flows.
and you
It's just-
protect fishes in the.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you made a change case in your irrigation water, try to change your use,
Yeah,
you have to show what your use was,
historic reviews, right?
historic use of that. And the decrees that have been approved over the past 10 years, they look at between 10 to 15% of the amount of water you put on the field is actually used.
Oh, really? Is that, and that's from the state engineer's office?
Yeah.
Really?
So it's less than what they're.
They're not they don't tell you that, ever.
Well, I always thought, from talking with them, that it was closer to 50%. Cause that was the number Erin gave me, was 50% was what she calculated.
I've seen court cases that went to the judge, and the judge decided.
Huh. Well, we know it would be slightly different everywhere. All right. We have, when we're ready to record.
It's recording. We are.
Super, all right. This is, good evening, everybody. This is, the PEPO committee agenda for, why do I have a March agenda? I know this is,
Those are
we forgot to change the March to May, didn't we?
at the top.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
this is May 14th. It's at 4:12. And,
I like those kind of meetings.
call the meeting to order. In the room today, we have myself, Kristen, Steve Hickmeyer, Chuck Whiteman, Sally Caribou. Jeff just stepped out for a few minutes online. Sally, can you tell us who's online?
All right, yeah, just a second. Online, we have Doug Monger,
Thanks, Doug.
Kristen Jesperson,
Yes,
Michelle Mahosky, and Chris Sullivan.
excellent. All right, thanks everybody for being here. We, in the agenda, Sally, do you want to do just like a 1-minute summary of what all we've got going on here tonight?
For the agenda, we'll talk about, a financial update. We're gonna go over our PEPO grant ask that we're gonna ask for in the next meeting. We're gonna have a story map update from Kristen. We're gonna talk about the field trip. State messaging from the PEPO meeting in Silverthorne. Canopy. And quickly give away some placemats and talk about the next article and upcoming events.
Outstanding. All right, so does anybody have any additions, corrections, deletions on the PEPO agenda? Need a motion to approve? Whiteman? Second. Meyer, second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? All right, great. So we have an agenda. Public comment. Public comment on any item not on tonight's agenda. Public comment. Try to limit your comment to 3 minutes. All right, hearing public comment, we'll move on to our consent agenda. We have both the minutes and the financial report. I think Sally probably wants to do at least a brief run through on that report. So the consent agenda would consist of our minutes. Everybody happy with the minutes? Okay, we need a motion to approve. Motion, okay, we have a motion from Hinkmeyer, second from Whitman. All right, good. All in favor of accepting the March 2025 PEPO meeting minutes, say aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? All right, very good. Sally, you want to give us you've been doing a lot of work on the financial report.
Yeah, not a lot has changed since the last report, since we haven't spent a lot, but I kind of just wanted to talk about the 2026 budget. So you can see here, the big number, that we're kind of looking at is 11,758. And when I say we, I just want to say that, I'm still working with Patrick. He's doing the financial side of things, so he's taking care of the budget, and we're still meeting, every couple weeks and talking about, messaging and preparing for the meetings. So I'm contracted through YBSC. And so this is part of my job at YBSC. But I just wanted to let you guys know that, I don't think we said that at the last meeting. So in this 2026 budget that Patrick and I looked at, for next year, everything is pretty much the same, with a little bit put in for inflation over the years from yellow to blue. And for next year, we've got $11,758 for our next project after the story map. So this is something, that we probably contract for in the next fall. So Patrick and I, we're hoping to use the state messaging that we were hoping was gonna come out, to hire a consultant to help us with advertising and social media. So the state messaging didn't come out as we really had planned. We thought there would be more coming out. But we'd still like to go forward with what has come out, the infographics, and, working together with Patrick, coming up with, and Blue Fire, we're hoping to use, as the consultant to come up with some really nice visual ads. So they'd be the print ads that we could use for years on end, if they're not, so they wouldn't be like time limited, so we could use them year after year, and that they'd be nice and engaging. And social media is just something that we could do better on. And I just have a limited capacity for it, and it's not necessarily my forte. So we were hoping that, to work that into the scope of the budget, and then also, if there's anything left over, having a little bit of buffer to the story map. If, hopefully not, we're gonna do our best to not make it go over, but if it goes past December, so, but really, it's more for the advertising and the social media.
I think we're gonna find when we get this, one of the story maps complete and the funds are completed. There's gonna be things that we're gonna want.
It's
Yes,
There's gonna be things that we're gonna wanna add
to the story map.
to the story.
And there may be a phase 2, so we're all, there could be a phase 2, but if there's,
Yeah.
if we're just like close to the finish line, but not quite there, something like that, so. That was something, Patrick and I talked about yesterday,
Yeah.
so. And with the WSRF, we haven't really done a whole lot of spending. We have registered for some events, coming up this summer and things like that. So, we haven't done a whole lot of spending, so this budget's pretty much the same as last. Or two.
And we know that WSRF is pretty much going away, as we've known it in the past, but we do have a state water plan funding source that seems to be quite well funded. In fact, we never anticipated we're gonna have to go back to the voters and ask them if we could keep the additional money that was coming in. So we've lost one funding source and gained a new one that's arguably even more consistent. All right, any other questions on this? So this is what you presented to the grants committee, and the grants committee asked questions and reviewed this and was generally supportive of what you had.
Yes, yep,
It's a pretty well-developed budget. We've been doing this now for a number of years. I think we probably do as good a job as any basin in the state of putting this together and getting
it
that
sure
through.
seems like it, yeah.
Yeah,
I do
thanks.
wanna say, we were waived the 25% grant match that was asked by the state. So that's something that was waived.
Good.
And that's Patrick checked on that before here.
Yeah, that's, historically, we got that way, and I think one day soon that they, so. forgetting about that.
Well, they keep threatening.
They keep threatening.
Yes.
There you
So
go.
we were very lucky, yeah. So that was waived again this year, so, any other questions? Fine.
Hi, this is Kristen. I do have a question. I know that there is $15,000 from the Upper Yampa Water Conservancy District for the Story Map project. And that's not reflected in this budget. Is that's still accurate? Is that intentional or?
Yeah, maybe right here, is that?
So that's in your Yapatika funding.
Yeah. I think
This
that's
is
the other
the
one.
25,000 you get from the CWCB.
Yeah,
Oh, I
Okay.
see. I just I can't navigate it. So, okay.
yeah, it's very confusing.
Yeah, this is a whole separate budget. This,
Why we got that's why we have two people tracking it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is, yeah,
historically, we got $6,500 a year to pay for Sally. And she was supposed to do everything for PEPO here. And
That's the
when,
budget.
I got on here, Kelly had been, explaining to Russ that was not enough. And I was one of several other PEPO people in the state that said, this is a joke. You want us to do all this really important work on $6,500? So they came back with a reorganization of a lot of stuff. That's when we got a 25,000 grant for this, get a guaranteed 300,000 in grant funding for the roundtable. There were just a number of really important changes and much better financial support for the roundtable. So this is pretty much guaranteed for our internal operations within, and I'm actually encouraged to see Sally and Patrick putting that money into messaging, because I think messaging is really a key element here that we are trying to coordinate a statewide effort, but we really need to take some initiative here locally, and I applaud you guys for taking on that task of helping to develop that, and I think hiring a professional is easily the best thing that we could possibly do.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing we haven't addressed yet, and it's the low hanging fruit. So, I think with the new infographics, it'll just help. And I think we learned that every basin kind of has to come up with, I mean, they're gonna come up with, more state messaging, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but, it's gonna take some time, and it's maybe not exactly what we want. So I think we have to work with Patrick and, to make our own messaging.
We can do that.
Yep, we can do that.
Can we ever get feedback?
Yeah, I'll go over that in a smidge.
Okay, with the feedback we gave them
Yes,
for the infographic.
yeah, we got feedback from the feedback.
Okay,
All right, is there any other questions of Sally regarding the grant proposal for 2026 for the PEPO committee?
So I'm confused. Do we have everything in the budget to satisfy her contract?
Yes. Mhm.
yeah, so Sally's in there and Kristen's in there for like
That's
taking
Kristen.
notes and.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Kristen has some additional funding that comes through chair, right? Doesn't she have another 6,000 or something?
Yes, informally, when we order like the food,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
supplies, the copying and whatever. That's just a CWCP slush fund, I guess,
Okay,
because that never gets charged back to the 25,000.
I never see that money.
Or the CAA grant, so.
I don't think it's enough to worry about. You know, you probably got some contingency.
I don't think we spend very much. I mean, we try to keep our copies to a minimum
We
and.
don't. And that's why Jeff didn't object when we decided to upgrade the menu and do a little better food, then he says, this is fine. If this is what you wanna do, this is fine. So,
But
and Jeff, by the way, Jeff Rodriguez is on maternity leave with their.
He said he, even after I got the email from, what's her name? Jenna Batson. Jeff sent me an email back and said he'd be
Oh, no kidding.
video at the meeting, so we'll see who's gonna be there.
Well, that'll be good.
But he was supposed to be back yesterday.
Oh, nice.
so Ken, it's not significant probably in the whole, but the operational budget for those canopies.
Mhm.
Do we have money in there?
Yeah, there's that
Oh,
in there.
yes. $50 if you wanna take it out, so
I'm sorry,
it's $50, you get paid $50
No,
every time
no,
you
that's
take
not-
out. Or-
But so we
for
were,
swag and for,
yes,
Yes,
and
yeah, swag and informational stuff.
I have bought some and
Yeah.
I will, should have brought it actually, but I can get it to you.
It's down under public outreach, the first task,
Yes,
task 4.
I bought some things for kids and I got some things from the state, but yeah,
pamphlets.
yep,
Okay, so,
I did forget.
I'm gonna keep us on track here. So we've now reviewed this. Are there any other comments or questions of Sally
On the grant,
on the
on
budget.
the $25,000
Yeah.
PEPO grant?
Yeah.
All right, so,
well, yes. Let me go back.
Yeah.
So I know you and Patrick had the conversation about moving the story map over to our website. Did you guys make any headway on what kind of graphics front end we would have to do that?
I am pursuing the ESRI license with Patrick, so I think the Ag Alliance will go ahead and try and get the nonprofit license. We just talked about it the other day,
Okay,
and then I will manage it.
you'll manage it?
Yeah, but the nonprofit license is $600 less than the commercial one. We figure that $600 could also be storing that money if we needed it.
Yeah.
Kind of give us a little leeway there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you-
And we have $1,000 built into the budget for each year, for the first 2 years for the ESRI license. So if we did have to go for some reason with a $700 license, it's fine. We have the money for it, but were you gonna say something, Kristen?
Did you, Patrick, ever make any headway on the issue that county was having where
The
the?
DKIM and the SPF.
Yes.
I am in contact with 5180 and then I have to wait for. this. Yes, I'm working on it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something I have to work with the website.
okay, so I need a motion to approve the grant as Sally has presented.
So moved, we actually approved it at our last meeting.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well,
That's how they presented
And the
it.
grants
we
meeting.
filled in a few
Yeah.
numbers here, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But the budget, needs to be approved.
I'm good with that.
All right.
Can I just interject quickly?
Of course.
Sorry, since I'm not controlling this, I can't see all of the budgets, but, I did want to note that the consultant came in, slightly higher at 24,000. So do we have that? What is the total that we have?
Initial ones, were, I didn't get those consultant numbers, but I will give that to Patrick. Is it, and maybe you and I can get together with the actual numbers and,
What was the discrepancy between the budget and the actual number?
That's what I can't tell. I'm not sure if the total amount that we have here reflected is 22,000 and some change. But the budget for the consultant is 24,210, I believe. Um, so we can talk about, how we cover that difference. And there
Yeah,
might, go ahead.
no, please finish.
And I know that the consultant has built in some of that ArcGIS expense into it, so, um,
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
maybe
know.
we could take, yeah, we'll talk about, let's talk about that tomorrow, maybe.
Okay,
Okay,
so
I
let's,
just want to make sure anything you approve, has that information.
thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's actually, it's a slightly different pot of money. So we're gonna go back to just the $25,000 PEPO grant. And we have a motion from Sinkmeyer and a second from Whitman.
Yes.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Thank you. Sally, did you want to spend any time with this WSRF?
Not so much. Like I said, we just really have spent some money,
Looks like we have a lot left over.
yeah, all the invoices have yet to be, come in, and we've spent a little bit of money I'll be at the, Yampa River Fest, tabling, things like that.
Great.
Very incidental.
Okay, super.
All
All
right.
right.
So
Next
that-
item is the, well, we see we've done the PEPO grant, that's number 5, unless you want to spend more time on it.
I think we've covered that pretty.
I would think so too. So that brings us to the story map, agenda item number 6. How would you like to proceed?
Kristen, do you wanna say a couple words? Or I can,
Sorry. I just couldn't find the mute button on my phone. Hi everyone. Yeah. So I believe that we've made some pretty good strides since the last time I presented to all of you. So Sally, Alden, and I participated in 3 interviews with the consultants that submitted proposals for this project, and we all consensually agreed that Four Corners GIS and mapping was the standout candidate. And so we have hired them to help us with the development of the story map. And we've had one subcommittee meeting with them since they were hired. And we are in the process of getting the ArcGIS licensing set up, as Sally mentioned, which will allow us to then start in on task 1 as it relates to designing an outline for the story map, which will give us some information in a visual representation that we can use to start talking through how we want to structure this, what to include, what not to include, and start getting into kind of more of the details of it. In the meantime, we have sent out a request for information from all of the Basin Roundtable stakeholders that I have on the list of entities with information or resources or imagery or whatever it might be that would need to be reviewed and potentially included in this story map. So if you have not received that email, and you have a management responsibility within the basin, or you have information that you think should be included, please reach out to me, because at this point we're really trying to collate and inventory everything there is so that Anna with Four Corners can start making sense of what there is, where there are some gaps, and how to cobble this existing data and information together to create this product. And yeah, we're all really excited about the skill set that they bring, both Four Corners GIS mapping and then her subcontractor, who is a really skilled illustrator. I think we'll be able to make this a really visually stimulating and compelling resource. So that's where we're at, and we will have a subcommittee meeting in a few weeks. Once we get that licensing set up and we have some resources that are being input into our Google Drive. So that's really all I have right now, but please reach out to me separately again if you have not been pulsed for information that you know you have that should be included.
Do you feel pretty good about your list of participating agencies and different groups that, I mean, is it a pretty comprehensive list, or do you think that there are still people that we need to make sure we reach out to for data sources?
Well, this is the list that Patrick and Sally put together for the survey that we did in phase 1. So they went through the mailing list and really cleaned it up and honed in on entities that they felt should be included in this. But I'm happy to share it with you if you want to take a look at it and make sure that it's as comprehensive as it should be.
Have we shared that here with the group?
I haven't seen that in a while, so I don't have that, but, I think what will,
Maybe
there was an email that Kristen did send out to the whole, notification group of this call for, request for information. If you, if you signed up, if you said you had maps, now's the time to put these maps in these specific folders that she's created.
Okay,
So it's populating these spreadsheets and the folders with those items that people were hoping that they have, so photos,
okay. Well, maybe at your next meeting here in a few weeks, when you're ready, this might be one additional agenda item to put up, is just, let's take one more look at this list of contributors and make sure that we haven't left out somebody that we want to include. 'Cause we're kind of-
Yes. Did you receive the email? Because you might be able to just take a look at who was on that and let me know, but I'll send the list to you.
I probably have received it. I probably have not reviewed it carefully. So if it's out there and you haven't got any feedback, then it must be pretty complete.
All right, I'll just follow up to make sure you have a chance to review that with a little focus on that key question.
Yeah, sorry, I've been out of pocket here the last 3 weeks down in Phoenix, so I'm trying to get back up to speed.
I get it.
All right. Thank you, Kristen, and continued good luck with your project.
Thank you. It's our project, so we're working hard to make some progress on it.
Okay, well then, unless there's something else, then we're into the field trip, so we need some feedback from you guys, so.
all right, yeah. Okay, so the field trip, I've been working pretty hard on, I think, so I can show the agenda here for the field trip.
Yeah. Do you have the agenda in the form of a map?
I do. I
That would be
can
more
show that
useful.
to you.
Cause we're gonna, where do we start?
I can show.
Is
you
it
that
in
a
Meeker itself?
second. This is just, I didn't put a whole lot of roads or the rivers on here. But, so here's Meeker, right in the middle here,
Okay.
blue dot. We're gonna start at the Forum Ranch, the Blair Homestead. And that's where the Beaver Dam analogs and your McNabb is gonna give a,
Now, is that in Yellow Creek?
yes.
Where exactly is Yellow Creek?
Right, so, I can't,
Oh, there it is.
yeah, I mean, it's right here.
Yes.
And so she's right on Yellow Creek pretty much. It's right across from the ranch. So there'll be parking available there, like breakfast. We'll go out and, I still have to work out some details with Deirdre, we'll spend a couple, let's see, how long? 10 to 11:30, talking about the restoration project. I figured we could all arrive there at 9, since we're all coming from different spots around the basin. That's a little time to get there. So after our Laird Homestead, we're gonna go it's about an hour drive down to Lake Avery. We can stop in Meeker and drop off cars and carpool. I'm gonna pick up lunches. And then second stop is Lake Avery.
Can
Still,
we use the picnic tables at the campground?
At-
Overseeing Lake Avery?
yes,
Is
let's
that what
do
you're
that.
planning?
I don't know. I was asking Callie if there was a good spot at Lake Avery where we could,
Where would you be eating like that?
I don't know.
At
Avery, Lake Avery.
Yeah, at Lake Avery.
I would think if you sat up on those ridges where the campground that's just upriver from the reservoir.
It's really, yeah.
Okay, maybe I can talk about specifics after that.
You can talk.
Because we're gonna see their proposal about an expansion of the reservoir's capacity, correct?
Mhm,
Yeah.
yes,
So we wanna have a location where we got a good overview of that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so some of the details I'm still working on, but like
I
those.
mean, yeah, the thing is, Lake Avery, then.
Mhm.
Like
It's just a lot of
it's
this is to be
Are they doing repair
discussed.
work on it?
Yes,
So we'll have, I've invited BLM also to come, and if there's any other people I need to,
BLM Forest Service.
BLM is what I haven't heard of any Forest Service. people.
Who else do we need there?
But if there's other people you suggest for me to reach out to, I'm kind of going off of Callie's suggestion.
You what now? Would you-
I'm going off of who Callie suggested for me to invite, so I am open to suggestions and if people have suggestions on who to invite, but at this point, it'll be the White River Alliance, or the Yellow Jacket board members giving a presentation.
Right.
And then,
So,
Yeah.
Alvin's part of this, are you inviting anybody from Rangeton?
I'm inviting everybody. I haven't talked to him specifically about this. But I mean, it's open to everybody.
Icing Malden would go.
Yeah. And plus his board of directors. of the
Yeah, so what would that, who's here?
Green Light for Water.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, he's the rep.
I'll just reach out to him and say, who else should I invite?
And Rio Blanco is the lower part of the White River and the Yellow Jacket is the upper part.
Yeah,
No. Well,
what'd you say?
the Rio Blanco's lower part,
Is the lower,
White River and Douglas Creek Conservation Districts are the upper part, and
Douglas Creek?
No, Douglas Creek is down the range.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
oh, is it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it kind of set.
Douglas Pass is right there on the state line with Utah going to Erica.
But right there where that McNabb stuff is, they're gonna go visit. That's about the dividing line between Rio Blanco Water Conservancy and Yellow Jacket.
And then Yellow Jackets all the way up.
Right.
Got it.
And they go into Moffett County. They also have Milk Creek.
Well, Yellow Jacket does, so it goes
They go to Milk Creek. They got some Yampa River stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, they tried to sell me water out of Aldrich Lakes when I worked at Colorado. There's no direct flow, but they said if I wanted water, they could get it there.
You know, a good one to ask tonight would be Doug Holt.
That's a great idea.
Will you introduce me?
Huh?
Will you introduce me to him?
Absolutely.
Okay,
He's a member.
Yeah, he's a-
I know him.
He's the commissioner that shows up from,
He's
Rio
here,
Blanco and he never says anything. He's
Well,
very
maybe
quiet.
that's why.
Yeah, he's very quiet.
but we could ask him to
Does he
get.
sit over in the corner?
Yeah.
Somewhere, yeah.
Okay.
He normally sits
Then
right
I'll do
there.
it.
So I, you know, I'll ask.
Yeah.
Can you go?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
I
Finish
think that,
Lake
oh, and
Avery.
so then we're gonna have lunch at Lake Avery, let's see, till about 1:30. Then we travel, we're gonna go to Agency Park, so we're gonna go back, towards Meeker. And that's where Liz Chandler is gonna give, just an overview, and we can't see a whole lot there either, but it's more of a place to stop.
It's a lookout.
Yeah,
Is that the?
Is it the,
Yeah.
is that the overlook on the?
Yes.
Okay,
I believe so.
yeah, that's a good place to do it.
And then we're just gonna talk about the White River return flow study there.
Okay, that sounds great.
And then we'll head back to Meeker, at the fire station. I have it reserved. It's got a limit of 40 people, so we're gonna cap everything at 40 people. Something I talked to Ken about this morning is then we have, Big River at 3, we've got PEPO at 4, and then the round table 6 to 9, and then we all travel back to somewhere. So that's a huge day. I'm wondering if it's too huge, if it's something we wanna break up and maybe take a vote on at the roundtable meeting, whether to do the field trip on the Tuesday.
We haven't got a chance to talk to you about this, Steve, but we'd like to try to do a little showing of hands, like should we do 2 days or 1 day?
Just wondering,
I think people are gonna vote for 1 day.
1 day.
That's my sense.
So if we don't wanna give it to a vote, that's fine too. I just wanna make sure it's,
But we can
Yeah.
certainly limit the meeting time.
Are you having?
Yeah, we might have a short meeting.
We can shorten the.
I would love that.
We can shorten the PEPO piece, we
Yeah.
can shorten,
And we don't
well,
have to
we
have
may
an
not
hour in
have to shorten
between.
Big River, depending on what goes on between now and July. But we could shorten that, and then I could shorten
Let's shorten it up.
meeting
I would love that.
to 2 hours, let's say.
That'd
We
that'd
get
be
done
amazing.
at like 8 or 8:15, and then.
That would help.
I think that would help immensely. There's just a lot of deer, just
Better part of 2 hour
Asking,
drive. for
yeah.
us.
And then, yes, and then maybe we could skip our half an hour between Peppo and.
Yep.
But I have,
But let's go ahead and we'll just take a short, if you can help facilitate that as chair of the roundtable. Show of hands, how many would like to see this divided into 2 different days? Or how many people wanna just do a single day, one long day?
So I've got, the only thing I plan on talking about in the announcements is the next
next
meeting
one, yeah.
location and the PEPO tour opportunity.
Yeah.
I'll bring it up there.
okay, perfect. Yeah.
Try to shorten the day.
What day is it gonna be? It's right now it's July 9th.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a Wednesday, obviously.
Is the thing we wanted to get a show of hands?
Oh, it was gonna be capping it to 40, but I think we're good with that.
Yeah.
There's 40 people.
Oh, I
It's
know,
the
but
limit of
we're
the
just
firehouse.
gonna have a show of hands of who's
Who's gonna-
planning to go.
Yeah,
Those were the 2 quick votes we wanted to have. So give her a little bit of help planning.
Okay, are you gonna talk about the tour?
Yes.
During the whole.
absolutely.
Why don't
Our little
why
thing.
don't you ask?
Yep.
And then I could ask at the end to see if to give people a little more time to think about.
Okay, so we can, I'll
So you
pose
should
the
ask-
question and then we'll take the raise of
You can
hand.
pose the question and take the count,
Okay,
and then we could do it again at the end.
okay.
Is there anyone else, now that we've got time to think about it, is
Yep.
there anyone else that did register it?
Did you invite the whole White River line?
I haven't really invited the whole, so I've reached out to, and so I'm kind, my members are kind of gray here because there's a lot of players. But I
I
reached
guess
out
what I'm
to
asking for the tour is one number of people,
Sean Wilder.
but the meeting at the firehouse is another number.
Oh, yes.
There's 2 different numbers,
Yeah, I just figured though,
because
I know 40, even though, yeah, I know 40 people aren't gonna go from the field trip to the firehouse, but 40 people, they just got me thinking maybe we should have a cap just because of the number of cars too. I think it's a fairly generous number for the amount of people who will be joining us. I can't remember how many people came to the Maybell diversion. It wasn't 40.
No. I'd say
It wasn't
25.
40 and that was more accessible
And that was
at
25.
Maybell. So I think I think it's just being overly cautious.
Well, if Sean and Dieter wanna invite, you know, their membership, then they.
Yeah, I mean, they can
Then
come.
40 people, and you're gonna have 40 people come to that meeting.
That's okay.
Oh, really?
I mean, if they wanna drive along, I mean,
I mean, I'm talking about, I'm worried about the firehouse.
Yeah,
Oh, well,
Yeah.
why would they, cause.
yeah, I haven't invited
Just
anyone
us
else
roundtable.
to the roundtable meeting, just the field trip.
Okay.
They're not presenting. White River Alliance is not.
All it is just around him,
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's just round
just like this.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's it, and we're gonna have dinner, Peter.
Yeah, they're all welcome to hang out at Deidre's house.
But thank you for shortening the meeting, that will help quite a bit.
That
We do that, because we don't really have a lot.
So I will mention
I just
that,
think, if we did it over 2 days, we get half of them going to one and half going to the other, and we just.
well, so do we wanna even do a vote if we shorten it? Do we wanna do that?
Well, I think you want to get preliminary numbers.
Okay,
One
just,
might be
on who might be
interested.
coming, but stick to one day.
Yeah.
Stick to one day, shorten our meetings.
Yep.
Okay,
And then.
get a
you'll
raise
still-
of hands of who might,
And then you'll still have to send out that RSVP.
okay, I've got a
At least
registration
couple.
event ready to go with maps.
Yep.
It'll go out,
Okay.
Couple weeks ahead.
well, I'll just do it sooner rather than later,
Oh.
so I can know who's coming, once we kind of figure out, a little bit of more logistics for the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Great, I think that's it for field trip planning.
Oh, so. If we shorten Big River and we shorten PEPO, I talked about, so what happens when everybody gets back to town at 3? And people that don't wanna do Big River
Right,
and whatever, I was wondering if we
just
could,
go into it.
well, you know, but, no, I didn't know if, like we wanted, if the Chamber of Commerce has any information.
Okay.
How to kill a couple hours in Beaker.
Yeah, I'll take, I'll see what they have going, and I think Kelly was just gonna say, there's the coffee shop and, just some place, or if you have any places where it might be nice to
Sally,
fill some time. Yes.
Sally and Steve,
Hey, Steve.
here's a suggestion. Can't we do the committee meetings virtually before the day of? Because it does seem, and because not very many people come to the committee meetings and sitting them around, but wouldn't that be a more effective way to do that? Or are we not allowed to do that under rules?
The only reason that we've done them that way is that we have better participation because you can attend multiple meetings in a row. But it's not a bad suggestion, because then we can start the roundtable meeting like at 5. And be out of there.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
That would be.
Yeah, I'm not proposing this.
Well, why don't
Yeah.
you let us, we'll have the executive
I like that
committee
too.
take another look at that. Would you be okay with that, Steve?
What?
Would you be okay with the executive committee taking another look at the scheduling for the July meeting and try to accommodate the schedule that we just discussed?
Did you hear what
Hey, I
Tim just said?
I was with the grant committee meets on a separate time.
Right.
PEPO and Big River could meet on separate times.
Okay.
There's nothing that says that they couldn't,
Okay,
and I don't think they miss too much by not being in the room for one meeting.
Well, in the future, we're hoping to continue to see our participation at roundtable meetings improve.
Yeah.
And which would then hopefully leak over into the subcommittees. But yeah, we'll take a look at it, especially for that day, that,
Yeah,
July
but
9th.
I don't think we can start the basin roundtable meeting until at least 5.
Yeah, I think 5 o'clock would be the earliest.
And, cause I guess I'm hoping there's gonna be something to report on Big River.
Yeah.
And PEPO, we're gonna be doing PEPO all day.
So that means July 2nd, we're gonna be having a meeting to talk about exactly what is the final
Yes,
schedule.
yes.
okay, so
Okay.
I like that suggestion, Tim, thanks, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, to
Okay.
answer Tim's question, no, there's no rules on when meetings that
Okay.
need to
Correct.
take place.
There is no rule. All right, well then, if there's nothing else on field trip, because we're gonna hear more about that again later at the meeting. Then we'll move on to the Mirasol screening.
And Jeff isn't here, so, I was thinking maybe a Mirasol screening in the fall at our November, and we can talk about this then too for our next field trip. But I have reached out to the Craig, cinema, and it's a couple $100 for 50 people for 3 hours to view Mirasol and then have a discussion afterwards. So that's something we can talk about.
Okay.
And then another couple $100 to rent Mirasol to screen it. So that'll be something I'll get with Jeff on and contemplate.
We should try to make that a bigger audience that we can potentially
Yeah.
advertise that.
Mhm.
We advertise it out for conservation district.
And then we can do that, and then the screening fee goes up a little bit, we've got plenty of money for that, no problem, and then I'll just figure out the capacity for the.
And we're gonna do one in Craig and one at, but we're.
Maybe we could try and just maybe do one,
Oh.
just since it's the first time and have people come into Craig, that's why I looked at Craig.
Okay.
So that's
I think we
our
can
next
fill,
field
the-
trip.
Well, we can't, so if we overrun the theater, you probably could run at the high school.
High school or,
On
okay,
Victoria and then on campus.
okay, that's a good idea. On this one.
I assume you try to do that like before the meeting.
That's probably what we would, like the field trip, yeah, in November, something like that.
So the tour is unlimited, don't how many people?
The tour, I'd like
It's
to
just-
cap at 40 also, at the White River.
It's just parking.
Yeah, just for parking purposes. If
Well,
people
and-
show up in
and
one
for
spot and
lunches.
they're already parked, the White River Alliance is already adhered to us, that's fine, they're just didn't want 100 cars going to Lake Avery. We can carpool. But I just, yeah, participants and then presenters are a different number. And that's just a suggestion. I'm open to suggestions if you think it should be changed.
I don't. Well, personally, I think everybody's gonna drive to Beavers and then as we come back through Meeker, when you pick up sandwiches, people that park their cars, get in, don't have
Yeah.
to form those.
Yeah.
For
Like we did
10 or 12
for Mayville. Kind of, yeah.
Or, yeah, like we did. in
Like
Mayville,
we just kind of said, who's got the biggest car and let's hop in and pay some gas, so.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna move us along.
Okay.
So
Sounds
we're
good.
past Marisol, we're on to number 9, which is our state messaging update.
Yeah, and.
And I can hand these around.
Okay, so, I think it was a couple Fridays ago, I went down to Silverthorne for the PEPO meeting, state PEPO meeting. Ken did it virtually, so he was there. A little less participation than I was hoping for, I think there were 7 people, 7 liaisons, or representatives from around this. But about, how many basins? I don't know.
At the meeting?
Yeah.
They
I think
basically,
we
No,
had
it's just-
I think we had 7.
Did we have all set? I have
Well,
7
we didn't have
basins
9.
represented, okay.
We didn't have 9.
So maybe we did, yeah.
These are the new infographics for each of the different basins.
So I will come up, what I came away from, I think my main takeaway was we're very organized roundtable and,
that we are,
yeah, and I think, financially and we take all the opportunities we can. And all the other roundtables really wanna learn from how we operate because they are not using like their brands as matches for each other and things like that. So, they were kind of amazed at all the things we could do with all the different types of outreach that we do, newspaper, radio, story map, websites, everything, social media. So,
I wanna make one point, when I go to those Colorado water Our PEPO committee has a very good reputation in the state, but people talk about it.
In the Rio thing too,
Rio
they,
Grande is.
yeah, they're very,
And Casey David Hill does both Metro and South Platte, and she's pretty active, but she also has. That's a pretty challenging position to do all of that. And the dynamics are quite different from here.
geez.
and it was a pretty short meeting, but they did present the infographic, so I have all the basins infographics back there, so you can check it out.
Yeah,
The state map, is the same
yeah.
for all the basins, but then the second page will give like the updates on each basin, so you can check them out. Like I mentioned before, I think we were hoping more for a little bit more of the state messaging to come out, like where can we go with this? What are you guys, when do we actually get something for our basin that we can use in advertising? So that's gonna be a longer process. It's gonna be a 10-year, $1 million process. And it'll be a slower process. So that's why Patrick and I will kind of wanna do it faster than the next couple of years. Because we have these infographics and we'd like to use them. So,
Clearly, our basin is one that more or less asks forgiveness instead of permission, and, we take the initiative.
we do, and it's, I think,
What else on messaging?
so, and on messaging, so some of the feedback that we got from what we told them at C9, this is the Colorado Education Messaging. This is what was produced by Strategic by Nature, and this is what was presented at the PEPO, meeting about what we told them was important about our basin, and this is on the website, on the Amboy Green website homepage.
Oh, it is.
At the top, yep, I put a bunch of important things in there, so check out the homepage, I keep
Okay.
putting on, some new material. So this is on there, and you can read it, but, kind of went over what was the most important for each basin. And some of the things that came out of this was supply and water quality were the most important water topics across all basins. Connectedness, scarcity, and use are the most important outreach topics. And so those are some kind of the broad generalizations, and then she had some of the actual suggestions that were made by basin. And so now what they gave us was kind of an outreach 101, they called it, so it was like a little class on how to do outreach for the liaisons. And so it was talked about who's your audience, and I think our audience was different than everybody else, every other basin's audience. Like we want to talk to public. And some basins were like, wait, you guys want everybody to know what the round table is? And
Oh, my goodness.
and it was very enlightening. So I think,
What the heck were they thinking?
so who's the audience? What are your goals? And then, like I talked about, what are the methods? And if I can kind of go down here, I think there's some of the suggestions we gave by basin, but then here's our methods, like all the different ways,
Yeah, that's a good chart.
the basins, yeah, reach out to people, so, here we are,
You can see
over
us.
here,
Us and Rio Grande.
yeah, really do quite a bit of outreach. Oh, we do newspaper articles, we do newsletters, we do, so, there's a lot of, we do almost everything. So, I think we are ahead of the game on a lot of those. And so the outreach 101 was fairly useful, but as you can see, we're already doing quite a bit of this. So,
Is that kind of the results of that board that was at C9?
yes, yep. And So that's what I was talking about, like scarcity and quality are some of the most important things.
Yeah.
So some high level things. So that's when I'm like, we're gonna kind of really need to come up with our own messaging. It's gonna be just really high level, vague messaging, I think is what it's gonna be produced. So, so that's why I like Patrick's,
Hey, go back just for a
Yeah.
second. This is why the memberships from the roundtables, this is just PEPO, but the same sort of. We don't do everything the same. In fact, we do stuff really pretty dramatically different in different parts of the state.
Yeah.
But we don't know that. We don't, because we never talk to each other. So that's why I've been lobbying hard to have the whole first day about this. Both just general sessions about function and activities, as well as breakout groups where all the PEPO people would go to one area and all the grants people would work on one area. And we could have an IBCC meeting and we could have a chairs meeting. And there's a bunch of stuff that we could do that first day that would cover like all of our nuts and bolts stuff. So the second day would really prioritize the work that we want to do with messaging and drought response. And how are we gonna prioritize that and use breakout groups? So that's just generally what I've been lobbying for, and they seem to listen to some of the stuff I tell them, so.
all the liaisons really wanted to get together,
Yeah.
at the meeting a couple weeks ago, so we stayed an hour afterwards and just hung out downstairs and talked about, wait, how do you do that? How do you do that? It's kind of what we all were really hoping for, and they were really asking us in the Rio Grande, how do you guys do it all? Like, how do you, one is subcontract and blah, 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 but, so, yeah, we're doing quite a bit.
Just as a point. Here is. So I'm on the CFCD board as well. So I handle their water call in for the, before the big annual, Colorado conference
For whom?
for, so I'm a board member of Colorado First Conservation
We'll talk
District.
about first, okay?
So there's a water segment associated with those. And there was a couple, there were probably 5 or 6 motions that people made that we discussed. And I was actually shocked when I talked about how we do things up here and the support that we receive from the conservation districts and the local government and, our commissioners weigh in and, and some of those people said, we don't have any of that.
Yeah.
If we want to do something, we're on our own. Nobody supports us.
Well, and I've tried to legislate.
And I was shocked at that response.
One of the most effective things that we could do just collectively in the state is to have the state, and I want to talk to Dylan about this, see what ideas he has. But do something to support the conservation districts. They were a big deal back in the 50s, 60s when we were growing up. That was a big deal. That was a real important committee. And they have just, I don't know whether you can speculate however on why, but it's really diminished to the point of, we're trying to do life support or resurrect a lot of these districts right now. And the state, I think, has a role to play in helping facilitate that process. Because they should be a big part of the stuff that we're doing, that we're promoting with water and agriculture.
Yeah, the scary part is our NRCS office is down to 2 people.
Yeah.
And one of those has to go to Route County and Grant County
Yeah.
because they have none.
Yeah, we have, I was gonna say.
They have 0 NRCS folks
So we
in
have-
Steamboat.
I don't know,
Clinton?
yeah,
Well, yeah, we do, but he's
yeah.
he's not that level, he's above that.
Yeah,
So, he's for sure help.
yep,
But I think that would be a great resource to help us. All right, so next.
yep, so actually, they're just, so some of the ideas that they're talking about providing us are, basin fact sheets and brochures, roundtable fact sheets, CWCB organizational chart, and then they want to talk about like in the next the consultant will reach out about like what we want. What kind of messaging we want, what kind of materials we want, so, but that's all in the future, so. Nothing will be soon, but it was a nice chance to get to know, the liaisons again, this was my second meeting. The first meeting I was brand new, so, it was nice to see people again, and I learned a lot.
Was anybody else doing like the stuff that have been doing with Yampatika and Elwood?
They were amazed at Yampatika, Kristen, if you're listening, they're like, tell me more about this Yampatika. Yeah, Yampatika is,
Where did you find
we're
them?
really we're really fortunate, because there's one lady who's doing all of the adult education and the children's education in,
How does that work?
exactly.
Must never say.
Yeah, I don't think she does, but yeah, you can, and so, yeah, I think it just made our basin look really organized. The Rio Grande is also very organized, and, so I'm looking to them also to see what they're doing, and they're looking to us to see what we're doing, but. And then C9 Summit, like I said, more opportunities for PEPO to meet, so. So that's it for state messaging, I think.
All right, well, if there are no other comments or questions, we'll move right on into the
Thank you.
canopy and the calendar.
Thank you, no.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure. I had to go to Target also. Because it's cheap.
That's Yeah.
That was a Target trip. Oh, yeah.
We're gonna, at the round table, the next meeting, I have printed out a canopy sign up sheet. So, so it's not just Chuck and I this year. So I think I've got 5 different events. I've already done 3 and I've got a couple more coming up. So, hopefully get some other people, on the canopies. I'm gonna get you some swag and just
I
like,
just need to give you a heads up, I'm not gonna be able to be there for the 4th.
okay,
Someone needs to do that, that's a pretty good place.
yeah, and maybe you can, nudge me and tell me who you have some suggestions. Yeah, I mean, it's just a place, we spend a lot of money on these, so I can only do so much. Placemats and quotation marks, our maps are, on the back, so those are for the round table. But, yeah, you have your pizza on them, so I think they turned out pretty nice.
Are we back to pizza again?
We're back to pizza again, yep. Let's see, I wrote an article, the Yampa White Green Roundtable supports preparation for a drier future. And that went out a couple weeks ago, and that was about, the return flow study and the nickel ditch and. So,
Did they change anything?
yes, they said I worked for Community Agriculture Alliance. They changed my picture that I gave them. I gave them a picture of the nickel ditch. They put in some random picture, but at least it got published because it's been kind of hit or miss how they're publishing it, so, but nothing else got changed.
Did it get published in Meeker or?
Yeah.
Or what called?
Yeah,
Barbie.
great, not me, great.
Oh, well, I thought you were gonna send it to Meeker as the real.
Yeah, well, I sent it, I'm not sure if I did, so I don't know. I'll have to check. I'll take a look.
We're gonna start putting your picture in every week.
Upcoming articles, we're hoping we don't have any coming up till the fall. So August, hoping, either August or October, you know, the Tika might wanna do one. I'll ask Kristen later, and then maybe something about our field trips and whatever else we wanna write about, so.
So at some point, maybe at the July meeting, we can talk about whether we wanna do a little snake field trip.
Yeah.
In September, but have to come back to Craigslist like need.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's talk
and
about
even
that.
have them on separate days, because we're trying to figure out through the headwaters, we don't we normally meet the third Thursday. So we might do the tour, we want to do a fall tour and we want to try to coordinate that one date so that it's at a good time for the roundtable. And it may be, this time it's not a good idea to do it on the same day. Try to do it on a separate day.
That would
Yeah,
be-
we don't have to go see the headwaters, we could just go look at
Yep.
what's, that the stuff.
That's a long day.
Yeah,
If
Yeah, I
Larry
was
takes
not
us up,
thinking-
if we go all the way up to the wetlands and then get up onto the pass, as well as on the main stem, that's a full day of stuff that we'll see.
yeah, no, I was not thinking about headwaters, I was just thinking about like the little snake stuff that we've been finding.
Yes, and that is definitely, and we can try to put that more in the first half of the day so that,
Yeah.
that roundtable members that want to, not see everything on Forest Health. But yeah, we want to do a really one good tour as opposed to trying to set up several tours.
Yeah, I think we ought to do a headwaters tour for,
Little
you know.
big project.
yeah, whether it be September or October, right? I think just a trip out as a separate from a meeting.
Exactly. This will be a straight up tour and the Little Snake's got some really good stuff to see. So,
Yeah.
so it'll be a fun tour. You'll understand better why I have this enthusiasm for the work that they're doing out there. Sorry, Sally.
Okay, upcoming events, Yampa Basin Rendezvous, I'm on the steering committee, it's going to be after Memorial Day, May 28th and 29th in Steamboat at Colorado Mountain College. I will put registration link actually on the website. It's basically a water conference, and so part of it is going to be about snow. We've got some local projects featured and some projects for us outside of the Steamboat area, and we've got field trips to some different projects around the Steamboat area also. So it should be a really informative time, along with a happy hour and free food. So
I don't know.
please come.
She just drew us in, didn't she?
That's one of my other jobs, so come. So some of the other events, these are all on the website. Steamboat River Fest, that'll be right after the rendezvous, so I think it's June 1st or something like that. I will also be tabling there with the Yampa Lake Green, I'll have the canopy. Okay, River Fest, County Fairs, Yampa Fall Festival, Upper Yampa Youth Festival. I'll be also at the Upper Yampa Youth Festival representing the roundtable for that.
Is that the one that always?
Yeah, that's the Upper Yampa Water Conservancy District, the big, amazing youth festival in the.
Yep.
So I'll be there for that, and partner updates, Michelle, if you're there, if you have any partner updates for Yambatika, I'm not sure. But I didn't have any other partner updates, but I have some partner updates from the things that I work on. For the Y Basin, that Y Basin is our soil moisture monitoring stations. That's what we call our network. So it's through CMC, Yampa Valley Sustainability Council, and CW3E, Center for Western Weather and Water Extremes. And so we've got 5 stations in the ground right now. We're looking for a minimum of 2 more this year. So we went out with State Land Board in Fortification Creek area to look at some parcels. We found some, we're having some contracting issues. So the lawyers are talking to each other, but we're also probably gonna put one in at Colorado Mountain College in Steamboat. And we're looking at another one at the ranch CJ Mucklow manages below Steamboat Lake, the Brad Carpenter Ranch. So we've got a couple in the works, some private, some with State Land Board. So we're hoping to get a couple in the ground this year. So it'll be the first for Fortification Creek. So I think that's kind of exciting. Hopefully we get that one in there. Where is it?
Yeah.
On the Ralph White, State Land Board, I can show you on a map, but
I know what
like
that
about
is.
halfway up through that watershed.
Yep.
Um,
We see Ralph White in the.
Yeah. so we're pretty excited about that. We hit some, we were trying to get some sites in the US Forest Service up high, and the permitting, they lost all their capacity and the permitting is non-existent, so we won't be able to do that for a couple of years, so we have to look to private and other federal agencies for that. And just one other thing on water conservation, so one of my other jobs at Sustainability Council is water conservation education. And so we the city of Steamboat Springs, so Julie Baxter, Frank, and I with the Mount Werner Water and Sanitation District brought in the Garden in a Box program run through Resource Central on the Front Range. And so we brought it to Steamboat, and it's the hub for these low water-wise flower kits that you plant by number. And so you can you order them online, and then you pick them up in Steamboat. So I've got people from Kristen bought some. Yay. Kristen, so it's highly grant funded for the next couple of years to bring it to the western slope. So so they're really great prices, and we sold 165 of them at about $200 each. And the kind of key point here is over the course of the garden's lifespan, you can save about 5,000 gallons per kit that you buy. If you change your irrigation practices. So, it's kind of exciting just to, bring a new, oh, Michelle has her hand raised, I'll get to you in a second, Michelle, bring a new project over and just to see how well it went over. Kristen and I are gonna do a demonstration event at the Craig Senior Center, and I'm also doing demonstration events at the Botanical Park, so. Michelle, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm having problems with my camera. I apologize. I would love to give an update on just some of Yampatika's highlights if possible. Yeah, Yampatika, we of course continue to see positive growth. Let's see, just a few highlights from this spring semester with a few unique lessons and partnerships that we have going. We did start a partnership with Rivers Edge West and a few landowners outside of Meeker and also with Meeker fifth graders to do a riparian restoration project with seed balls, and that was rather successful. Also reaching most Moffat County fourth graders with a water appropriation lesson at their Moffat County Ag Days. We also have done all school field trips for the entire Sirocco Middle School throughout the year 3 different times, focusing on partnering with Upper Yampa Water Conservancy District to do stagecoach dam tours, water quality lessons, snow science, entomology, a new albedo effect lesson that was rather successful. And so that's been kind of new and hoping to flow into the future here. A few other things, just highlighting that we are cross-curricular. So we're actually reaching out to elective classes this year, such as PE, SEL, art class, with orienteering. We've done fly casting clinics. Let's see, staff has continued with lots of just professional development training. We all got our Avalanche 1 level or level 1 cert this winter. We just finished with a wilderness first aid certification. I was actually fortunate enough to attend the first ever Colorado Youth Climate Summit held in Carbondale for high school youth from around the state, where roughly 50 students came together to share learning and collaboration towards climate action in Colorado. So that was kind of exciting, fun to be a part of. I guess we, just for spring, we have served just in water education, a whopping 4,216 students. And that is on top of our fall numbers. So we are projected well ahead of where we sat just last year and just continue to grow. We also did receive funding for our continued programming from the CWCB from June this summer through May 2027. So that's exciting as well. That's all I have.
That's all I have to, Ken. Those are all the updates.
Right, hey, Michelle, so we're gonna hear a letter of support presentation from Rivers Edge West that you're listed on. Is that the project that you're talking about?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. Cause we're gonna contemplate writing a letter of support for that water plant grant application that goes in at the end of May.
Anything else?
Sorry. Yeah,
Right.
yep, that sounds amazing. Absolutely.
And you said that you exceeded your anticipated, outreach numbers. What is your expected, last K-12 school year? That's coming to an end. What are you projecting your total outreach to be?
I wish I had fall numbers in front of me. I do not, but we will be around 4,500 students just for water spring semester.
Okay.
If it was roughly, say it was 35 to 4,000 for fall. So yes, we are definitely
Around
on.
8?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because I think your old biggest number was short of 5.
Yeah, that's big numbers.
Those are huge numbers. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, we're excited.
That is impressive. That tells the big story right there.
Yeah, I gave out your website name quite a bit at the PEPO meeting, so everybody wanted to know about Yamatika. All right, that's all I have.
If there's nothing else, then we will plan on we will evaluate exactly when our next meeting agenda or next meeting for PEPO will be, given this tour. Trying to accommodate a rather long day with a tour and meetings all in Rio Blanco County. So but what we do need is any suggestions on topics not included on today's agenda that would be relevant to include in the next meeting. Is there anything we're forgetting to work on or mention here? Sally's doing a heck of a job. She's really staying right on top of this, every part of it, and she's getting along great with folks at the state, so. Not hearing anything, but it doesn't mean that we'll take input at any time, so. And if that's all we have for the day, and it is now 5:27, and I adjourn the meeting.
Oh, I just heard when I asked Chris. And Chris said, why can't Deidre and John mostly? I said, yeah. You guys have about 40 range. Or less you think.
Yeah, let's do a little share.
Yeah.
There we go.